When you think of herbaceous animals, a plant-eating insect probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind. But a single caterpillar can eat up to 27,000 times its own weight over the short course of its lifespan. The collective gluttony of insects is so extreme that it's just as important as things like light and water and soil in determining where and how fast plants grow. And just as plants are food for insects, they form the base of our food chain as well, which means that we compete with insects for our food. So understanding how plants defend against insects is critical for protecting our future food security. What we already know is that most plants try to convince insects to find their meal elsewhere by putting toxic chemicals in their leaves. But while these chemicals are often poisonous to generalists, or insects that feed on many different types of plants, they can actually attract specialists, or insects that feed on one or just a few types of plants, and often possess antidotes against these toxins. So what's a plant to do? Should it produce more toxins to deter those generalists, or fewer to avoid attracting those specialists? Knowing how a plant answers this question is surprisingly difficult, because first we need to know the separate effect of specialists and generalists, but they're both often feeding on the same plants at the same time. In my research, I tease apart these effects using biological invasions, which are an experiment conveniently set up for us by nature. In a plant's native habitat, they're attacked by many different types of insects, but mostly specialists. And when those plants are brought to a new habitat, they often lose those specialists, but are still attacked by generalists. This means we can compare two sets of plants that have two very different types of attack, one mostly by generalists and one mostly by specialists. And what I found is that plants do seem to produce more toxins after they're brought to a new, mostly generalist place. And what's really cool is that this is especially true of their youngest leaves, which are the most valuable because they capture the most energy that goes towards future growth and increased yield. So plants seem very flexible in terms of responding to different types of attack, as they can both change how many toxins they produce, as well as where these toxins are stored. So when we think about producing bigger plants, breeding plants that will produce more food for us in the future, perhaps the key isn't to try to prevent insects from attacking, but to instead convince insects to attack the least valuable part of the plant. Because while it's true that some insects are attracted to this toxic relationship, just remember that plants are masters of damage control. Thank you.